The Golden State Warriors held on to Jonathan Kuminga for a reason. As they traded away young talents like James Wiseman and Jordan Poole, they saw something truly special in Kuminga that convinced them to hold on to him instead of making a trade for a star like Bradley Beal. Now, Warriors executives and other fans believe that Kuminga is expected to take a massive jump this next season, one that could not only see him become the most improved player in the entire NBA, but also become a key contributor to the Warriors championship team and maybe even a future MVP. Some fans think that the Warriors are absolutely crazy for relying on a 20-year-old young guy to take a leap, but that's the best part. This team isn't relying on him to take a leap whatsoever. Sure, the Warriors have one of the worst defending and smallest backcourts in the entire NBA with Steph Curry and Chris Paul, but this is a team that has some of the best wing defenders in the entire NBA to make up for it. Wiggins and Draymond Green are more than capable of giving this team exactly what they need for perimeter defense, which leaves Jonathan Kuminga in the perfect situation. A stress-free playing environment that allows him to develop and thrive while getting meaningful minutes on a championship team. But even though this is the case, people look at his raw stats from last season, just 9 points per game, and scoff at the idea that he's ready to explode this season. But what the casual fans don't realize is that Kuminga has the raw tools to succeed at the highest level, he just needs to polish them. And if he does this, he could shock the entire NBA next year. At just 20 years old, Kuminga has all the raw athletic gifts of an elite two-way wing. He burst onto the scene in his rookie year, averaging 9.3 points on 51% shooting in just 16 minutes per game. Plain and simple, Kuminga brought an infectious energy off the bench, with flashes of being an explosive forward that can also clamp up the opposing team's #1 scoring threat. His athleticism is absolutely elite, and there's just no denying that. With the strength and agility to finish through contact and stay in front of anyone, Kuminga has a gift that many NBA players work years to build up. I mean, just look at guys like Giannis, who spent years upon years of strength training and bulking up, and Kuminga already has a very solid frame at just the age of 20. While his counting stats aren't necessarily eye-popping at this moment, Kuminga was very efficient from the field as a sophomore last season. He shot 37% from 3 on nearly 2.5 attempts per game, and showcased some perimeter skills to go along with his rim-running gravity. Kuminga definitely still has a ways to go as an outside shooter and playmaker, but the framework is clearly there. And that's the big key, because once his skills catch up to his physical gifts, the sky's the limit for Kuminga, and he could have one of the highest ceilings in the entire NBA. But quite possibly the biggest reason that Kuminga is expected to take a huge leap next season is that he actually fills a role that the Warriors need desperately, not only on the defensive end, but also on the offensive end of the floor as well. With the backcourt of Steph Curry and Chris Paul lacking perimeter defense, Golden State needs that third wing defender who isn't Andrew Wiggins or Draymond Green. Whoever's in this role will contribute valuable minutes with the starting lineup and bench rotation, providing the defense they need when they need it. Kuminga can take the toughest defensive assignment every night if needed, which could open up the game in a big way for guys like Wiggins who spend almost all of their energy on the defensive end of the ball. And no, Kuminga isn't just jumping into this role. He has the lateral quickness to contain smaller players while also having the strength to battle with bigs down low. And according to some reports, Kuminga is still growing taller by the day, which in my opinion only raises his ceiling as one of the best young players in the NBA. The bottom line is, Kuminga is perfectly suited to help the Golden State Warriors defense, especially in high stakes playoff moments that require little to no error from the players. Offensively, Kuminga gives the Warriors an explosive transition threat and a ferocious cutter playing alongside Steph Curry and Draymond Green in the half-court setting. He runs the floor with blazing speed and has a nose for the rim when defenders lose track of him. I mean, just look at this play right here. Kuminga swings it cross-court to Draymond, and it looks like he's basically out of the play. Green will either drive it himself or swing it back up top for an open 3-ball, but instead, Kuminga sees that his defender is losing him a bit and aggressively cuts to the basket. Draymond Green dishes an easy pass, and when this man has a full head of steam, you aren't going to go up for that block. The best part is, Kuminga's cutting gravity will only increase as he improves his outside shots. which will open up easy driving lanes for himself and other players on the team like Chris Paul and Steph Curry. But even with the obvious two-way fit and tantalizing potential, most fans haven't bought into the Kuminga hype just yet. Sure, Warriors fans will say that he's their next prodigy, but everyone else in the NBA sees him as nothing more than just a role player. People look at guys like James Wiseman and Jordan Poole, two recent picks who are now gone, and think Kuminga will follow the same path with this Warriors team. But what many people don't realize is that Kuminga's path will be the exact opposite, thanks to one new addition to the Warriors team. Kuminga is almost guaranteed to take a massive leap next season due to the acquisition of Chris Paul. As Draymond Green publicly stated on his podcast, CP3's mentorship will unlock another level for the 20-year-old wing. Paul is known for bringing out the best in young players, like during his time in OKC or even recently in Phoenix with DeAndre Ayton. And he can provide Kuminga with a basketball IQ that can't really be taught by anyone else. The daily film sessions with CP3 along with the rest of the Warriors staff like Sean Livingston will accelerate Kuminga's basketball IQ and awareness exponentially. And on top of that, this elite playmaking roster will put Kuminga in spots to hide his weaknesses as well. So really, we should see the best version of Kuminga possible on this team next year. In addition to off the court, Paul and Kuminga are actually a seamless fit on the court as well. CP3's pick and roll mastery will get Kuminga wide open looks at the rim if the defenses collapse. And we already know that Kuminga is virtually automatic in these spots. Like I already said, we've seen guys like DeAndre Ayton thrive because of Chris Paul and get paid massive contracts because of it. And honestly, this is a role that Kuminga can excel in as well. With increased opportunity and a greater role in year 3, Kuminga seems destined to break out. He'll have the green light to push in transition and fly around the floor, freed up by the defensive attention on guys like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Kuminga was already incredibly efficient in the limited minutes he got these past 2 years. Now, it's time to unleash his two-way impact. But yeah, anyone could say that Kuminga will have a breakout year based on the acquisition of Chris Paul and just his overall development. But what people aren't talking about is the fact that he has the potential to become a perennial all-star this year, and maybe even the face of this team long term. Once Steph, Klay, and Draymond move on, the Warriors will need a new generation to carry the torch. We saw them kind of try to assemble this with Jordan Poole, James Wiseman, Moses Moody, and Kuminga, but obviously half of those guys are off the roster now. Kuminga though, this man has future superstar written all over him. In 3 or 4 years, he could easily be averaging 20 points, 5 rebounds, and locking down the defenses every single night. With the Warriors' elite development team, don't be surprised if we see Kuminga take this massive leap and become this team's franchise cornerstone for years to come. Considering the circumstances around him, everything is aligning for Kuminga to have a massive breakout season next year. But he isn't the only young player that could play a big role on the Warriors team. Philippine star Kai Soto is starting to get some buzz in the Warriors rumors, and he might just join the team. Click here to watch that and see why the Warriors would be making a massive mistake not taking a chance on Soto.